Welcome to This Explainer. When we think about epic ancient history, our minds usually go straight to giant mountaintop battles or parting seas or massive armies clashing out in the desert. But today, we're bypassing all that. We are diving straight into a quiet, confined room where a high-stakes, eternal decision was made. It's a story of incredible tension and, honestly, unimaginable courage. Before we even introduce the characters we'll be looking at, I really want you to just sit with this chilling image. Imagine reading God's message while someone burns it. Seriously, just visualize the sheer tension of that moment. You're standing in a room reading a message of divine truth, a literal plea or change, and the person you are reading it to is actively, literally destroying it right in front of your eyes. How do you keep reading? How do you even hold your ground? Part 1, the ultimate confrontation. So, who actually was Jehudi? Well, he wasn't a famous prophet, he wasn't a military commander, a king, or a high priest. He's mentioned only briefly in the historical text of Jeremiah. Yet this completely ordinary man found himself at the absolute epicenter of human rebellion. To understand how he reached this boiling point, let's track the chain of custody. It started years prior with continuous warnings from God to the nation of Judah to turn away from injustice and pride. Fast forward to weeks prior, and the prophet Jeremiah dictates a final warning to his scribe Baruch. Then, days prior, Baruch reads it publicly. Just hours prior, officials hear it, freak out, and raise the alarm. And that brings us to the present minute. The scroll is thrust directly into the hands of Jehudi.
Section 2, a reluctant messenger.
Imagine the absolute crushing weight suddenly placed on Jehudi. I mean, he didn't write the scroll, he didn't ask for this job, yet he was chosen to step right into the royal palace and deliver an uncompromising warning to an arrogant, highly hostile ruler, King Jehoiakim. The sheer contrast of the two forces at play here is striking. On side A, you have the eternal truth of God, words exposing wrongdoing and demanding a response, and on side B, you have a furious earthly authority, a king with total worldly power who is absolutely determined to erase that truth.
Part 3, reading through the flames.
Now, the scroll Jehudi read was definitely not filled with political praise or flattering promises for the king. It was a harsh warning of coming disaster if the nation didn't repent. And as he reads it, the sheer audacity of what happens next unfolds in this crazy methodical progression. Step 1, King Jehoiakim listens, but only to a few columns. Step 2, he takes a scribe's knife and deliberately slices off the portion that was just read. Step 3, he casually tosses it right into the roaring fire burning in the brazier in front of him. And as the scroll burns, Jehudi just keeps reading. Piece by piece, the text literally disappears into smoke as it's being proclaimed.
Part 4, the unbreakable word.
It really must have looked as though the message was vanishing forever in that smoke. But here is the crucial point. Flames cannot consume the purposes of God. King Jehoiakim thought by burning the paper he was eliminating accountability. It's like he thought he could stop a storm just by destroying the weather report. But ignoring a warning never changes reality. The source text actually tells us God simply had Jeremiah rewrite the scroll, replacing every single word that was burned and adding even more. The king's rebellion delayed absolutely nothing. It really just revealed the hardness of his own heart. Section 5, the call to faithfulness. So let's pivot to what this means for you today. Looking at the modern realities drawn from this text, we have to accept some pretty hard facts. We cannot force people to accept the truth. We cannot soften every hardened heart, and we absolutely cannot guarantee that our words, our convictions, or even our kindness will be welcomed. Jehudi couldn't control what King Jehoiakim did with that knife and the fire. His responsibility wasn't the king's reaction. His responsibility was simply to read the scroll. But despite all those things outside of our control, the singular defining lesson of Judas's life is this: we are called to remain faithful. Success in this context isn't measured by visible, immediate results or changing a king's mind. It's measured entirely by steadfast obedience. You just deliver the message you are entrusted with. I absolutely love this quote from the source material. Ordinary people often become part of extraordinary moments simply by remaining faithful to the assignment God gives them. History remembers the king for his arrogance, and it remembers Jeremiah for his prophecy. But standing quietly right between them is this totally ordinary man, Jehudi, who just kept reading while the flames rose higher. Maybe you felt your own convictions dismissed, or your attempts to do the right thing ridiculed. Just remember that your faithfulness is never wasted. Courage in those quiet, intense moments matters deeply. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a crucial question that every single generation must answer for themselves. Will you treat truth as something to discard, or will you allow it to transform you? Like King Jehoiakim, we all have a choice when confronted with hard truths. We can ignore them, try to reshape them, or toss them into the fire. Or we can receive them with humility and let them change us. The truth will outlast the flames. The only question is where we will be standing when the smoke clears. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. Keep seeking the truth, and I'll see you in the next explainer.